One man, one vote. It's what this country was founded on. But not quite in the way that we think. You know, America was founded by slave owners. So you go back to Thomas Jefferson's plantation, and there may be hundreds of people working in the fields, working in the big house. But one man, one vote was the literal tally on election day. CNN would have been like, okay, it looks like all precincts are reporting from Virginia, and we have 5 votes for George Washington. Oh, it's a landslide, John. Times have obviously changed, but Republicans still carry on the tradition of not counting as many votes as possible. They basically have to. You know, Democrats tend to win in cities and suburbs, otherwise known as where people live. Republicans just win in rural areas, and that's only going to work out for them if elections aren't about counting the most people, but just who gets to color in more of a map on some kid's menu in like a Denny's. Mom, it's not fair. Timmy's making me be the Democrat again. He gets to color all the big states like Montana. How am I supposed to even fit this blue crayon inside stupid New Jersey? Suppressing votes has always been a big part of elections, except the media didn't used to like to cover it. They're running a content business after all, and if we're thinking about how all this is rigged, maybe we're not going to be consuming all their 24/7 coverage and analysis. Like, I imagine ratings may not be so good for the NBA Finals if it was like 5 seconds left, Lakers down by 2. LeBron gets the ball, he spins, and oh, look at that, he's giving the ref a fat bundle of cash, and it's over. It turns out the Lakers were up by 4. The Lakers win. The Lakers win. But Donald Trump makes it impossible to not talk about the cheating. He does what he does with everything. He walks into the room where Republicans are quietly whispering about the evil stuff they're trying to do. And he just starts shouting like the old guy who gives no shits. We are stealing the election. Say it louder. People can't hear you. We're going to take the votes from the blacks. It's hard. I think that's what you said, but it's very hard to hear you. So now here we are, aware of the fact that the richest and most powerful country in the world is basically like one of those little redneck towns in Walking Tall or Roadhouse, you know, where the corrupt sheriff and his goons are in charge of everything. And it would be one thing if we had The Rock to kick some ass, but we have Joe Biden. He's like the old timer at the beginning of those movies who's like, oh, you know, I know the sheriff. Let me try talking to him. And then 2 minutes later, you cut to the scene and the old timer's just laid out in the hospital in a full body cast. And The Rock has to lean forward just to hear the guy whisper, you know, this town, it used to be bipartisan. So now people have gone from not talking enough about how Republicans try to steal elections to talking all the time about how Republicans are trying to steal this election. But the only advice we seem to get about how to stop Republicans from stealing this election is for Democrats to win by as much as possible so that Republicans wouldn't dare try to steal this election. And the way we can do that is to ignore the fact that Republicans are trying to steal this election. I actually get it. I mean, it makes a certain amount of sense. But I also think this is the most weak-ass, horseshit Democrat take imaginable. And to fully get the gist of this strategy, I think it's useful to hear it in Chuck Schumer's voice. I am pleased to announce that we have come to an agreement. Republicans are going to let us have the election. In return, Democrats need to get 60% of the vote in order to win. Now I know some of you are going to think we gave up too much, and I would love to live in your fantasy world where a simple majority... Oh, I forgot one thing. We haven't yet actually spoken to the Republicans. This is just our starting position. But I'm sure that they will agree when they see just how reasonable. There is another way. In this country, we had something called the Civil Rights Movement, where people successfully stopped racists from trying to take away their right to vote. And today, there's something called the Black Lives Matter movement, which has had some of the biggest protests in our country's history. The problem, though, is that a lot of those protesters who could be leading the fight to stop Republicans from stealing the election have been getting arrested by mayors and governors in the Democratic Party who Republicans are trying to steal the election from. The two-party system, where Republicans try to make your vote not count and Democrats try to make your vote not matter. Yes, hello, this is Senator Chuck Schumer. I would like to order a chalupa, please. No, no, just the chalupa. You can hold that chalupa.